Hello dear students, welcome to your SST class. So we have already finished the explanation part and today we are going to take the reading of the chapter and sideways you will mark the objective questions. So let's start. I just want you to take one pencil and open your books on page number 36. So let's start today reading. So many of the things you already know, but still it will be a repetition and you can easily learn it. So let's start. So the four Vedas, first of all you need to underline in the first paragraph. So we all know how many Vedas are there? 4. So please underline the names. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda and Atharva Veda were composed during the period following the Indus Valley civilization. So that is, after the decline of Indus Valley civilization, we have the existence of Vedic age, which is divided into two, as you can see in the number line given over here. So it is divided into two, early Vedic period and later Vedic period, and periods we have already discussed. Early Vedic period, it is from 1500 BCE to 1000 BCE, and the later Vedic period you have to learn, it begins from 1000 BCE and continued up to 600 BCE. So after the decline of Indus Valley civilization, we have the beginning of the Vedic age, in which there were 4 Vedas and the oldest one is the Rig Veda. So hence this period from 1500 to 1600 BCE is known as the Vedic age. So please underline the period from what years to what years we have the Vedic age. So it is from 1500 to 600 BCE. Moving on to the meaning of the word Vedas. Let's see. Please underline. Veda is a Sanskrit word derived from the root Ved, that means to know. So Veda is a Sanskrit word and it has been derived from the word Ved to mean know. So it means to know. The word Veda means knowledge. Till here you need to underline. All the 4 Vedas were written in which language? We have already discussed in Viva. Please underline, they were written in Sanskrit language and contain hymns in praise of various gods and goddesses. And what do they contain? They contain the hymns. And what are hymns? They are the songs, please underline, that are sung in the praise of gods and goddesses. Till here you need to underline. The oldest Veda, please underline, is the Rig Veda, which was composed around 3500 years ago. Till here you need to underline. The Rig Veda consists of more than 1000 hymns known as Sukta, as well said. So it means well said. Please underline, it contains more than 1000 hymns and it means Sukta, which is the word which means well said. So till here you need to underline. These hymns are in praise of different gods and goddesses. Please underline next question, objective question. 3 important gods are specially mentioned, that is Agni, the god of Indra, underline, the god of rain, storm and war, and Varun, the god of sky. So the god of fire, that is Agni, Indra, the god of rain and storm, and Varun, the god of sky. So all these 3 were worshipped in the Vedic age. Then how many mandalas are there? Please underline. 10 mandalas we have, or books. And how many hymns? 1028. Please underline. These hymns were composed by whom? Again an important question. Please underline, it was composed by the sages or your rishis, right? The Rig Veda is composed in old or Vedic Sanskrit. So we all know it was composed in Sanskrit, which was very different from the present day Sanskrit. So we studied today. Priests taught students to recite and memorize each syllable, word and sentence bit by bit with great care. So who taught the students? Whose responsibility was it to teach the students these hymns? It was the responsibility of the priest, pandits, brahmans, right? These hymns were learned, recited and passed on from generation to generation. It was only many centuries later that these hymns were given a written form. So it was in the early period only recited and then they were passed on from generation to generation. We don't have any written evidence of these hymns. So it was only in the later Vedic period that these hymns were given a written form. Now something in the yellow paragraph about the languages. Please underline, Sanskrit is a part of the Indo-European family of languages. It includes world languages such as Greek, Italian, German, French and Spanish. Indian languages such as Hindi, Kashmiri, Sindhi, Assamese, Gujarati also belong to this family. So it is belonging to the Indo-European family of language, Sanskrit language, right? Then most of the words of these languages are common. That is why they are called a family. Now why are they called a family? Again an important question, because some of the words in all these languages are common. For example, just note down Pitri in Sanskrit, Pita in Hindi and Pitar in Persian. They all mean father only. So this is the similarity in all the words of the different languages, right? So Rig Veda as literary evidence. As we know, written sources play a very important role in finding out crucial information about the past. So written sources, they play a great role in finding out the evidences of the past. We have done literature. Let us see how historians find out the past from the study and interpretation of the Rig Veda. So there is a small paragraph, pink colored paragraph is there. It is a conversation between Rishi Vishwamitra and the two rivers that I was talking of, between Satluj and Byas. So let's see what is the conversation. Here we take a part of one such hymn, a dialogue between sage, that is Rishi, Vishwamitra and two rivers, that is Satluj and Byas, who were worshipped. So these two rivers, Satluj and Byas, they were worshipped apart from river Indus, Saraswati and Ganga also, right? And they were treated as gods and goddesses. So let's see the conversation now. Vishwamitra and the rivers. What does Vishwamitra say? O rivers, descend from the mountains like two swift horses. Swift is fast running horses and descent means to come down. So he is requesting the rivers to come down from the mountains like two fast horses, like two dazzling cows that lick their cows. You move like chariots to the sea through the power of Indra. You are full of water and wish to unite with one another. So they are the two rivers that he is discussing, and he is requesting them that they should come fast, just as with the speed of what? Horses, and they should help him to cross the river. Their water should not be risen to that much of height that it becomes impossible for the Rishi to cross the river. So he is requesting the two rivers. So let us see now what happens next. What is the reply given by rivers? We who are full of water move along the paths the gods have made for us. So the rivers are saying that we are doing just what we have been told by the gods to do. Once we start flowing, we cannot be stopped. So it is just impossible for us to stop flowing, because it is the work that has been assigned to us by the gods. Why do you pray to us, O sage? So why are you praying to us? Then let us see what is Vishwamitra saying. O sisters, please listen to me, the singer who has come from a distance with his chariots and carts. So he says, please listen to me. I am treating you as my sisters. So I have come from a long distance and I have my horses and chariots with me, and we have to cross these two rivers. We have to cross your water. So let your water not rise above our axle so that we can move across safely. So he says that the water of your river should not rise above our shoulders, and allow us to cross you very smoothly, safely. We pay heed to your prayer so that you can cross safely. And the rivers agrees to it, and they say, okay, we are just listening to your request and we will not rise above our levels, and you can cross us safely. So this is the evidence the rivers were worshipped by the sages, by the rishis in the early Vedic age. They were treated as gods and goddesses. According to historians, this hymn was composed in the area where these rivers flow. The comparison of rivers with cows and horses indicates that the sage lived in a society where horses and cows were important animals. So this also gives us the evidence what type of animals were being used by the early Vedic people. So we have a reference of cows and horses, and the chariots were also there along with the horses. So this way we come to know the importance of animals also. Okay, now something about the social, political and economic life of the people of the Vedas, which has already been discussed. So question cannot be framed. Simple or one question if you want to do, you can simply do that. There was a conversation between which two rivers along with Vishwamitra. So your answer should be Satluj and Vyas. Only one question is there. Okay. Now very important part, life of the people. What type of life was led? So let us see. From the Rig Veda, we come to know that cattle and horses were very important to the people of the Vedic age, who are generally referred as the Aryans. So two important questions are there. Firstly, the people of the Vedic age are called Aryans, and then cattle and horses. Which two animals? Cattle and horses were given importance. There are many prayers in the Rig Veda for cattle, children and horses. Again, an important objective question or even 2 marks question can be framed from the next lines. Why the battles were fought? So please underline, battles were fought to capture cattle in which horses were yoked and chariots were used. Wars were also fought for territory, people and water. So we have already discussed land, water and these battles. 3 things were the main reasons for the battles, right? Land that was captured was used for cultivation. So the land that was acquired was born in the war. It was used for cultivation, for growing of crops, right? People were used as workers and water was put to good agriculture use. The war booty was divided into several parts. Now it is an important question, into how many parts was the war won land divided? So the land was divided into several parts. Let us see with the various parts. A good part was kept by the leaders, please underline. Some was given to the priest, underline, and the rest distributed among the common men. So we have already done it. Some portion of wealth was used for the performance of yajnas or sacrifices. So what is the meaning of the word yajna? We have already done. Objective question, sacrifices, in which priests made offerings into the fire. So what are yajnas? Important objective question. These were meant for gods and goddesses. Offerings could include, now again an important question, it was asked in your Viva also, what type of offerings were there? Please underline, ghee and grains were used, and in some cases even animals were used as sacrifices in the yajnas. Okay. Most men became soldiers. There was no well-defined army for any kingdom. People met at assemblies to discuss war, its proceedings and peace. So all the important issues were discussed in the 2 assemblies that we will be doing further. Right. Leaders were selected on the basis of their bravery and warring skills. So the kings were made the chief of the tribe, and we have already done, and they were selected by the Samiti, we will be doing next, and they were selected on the basis of their bravery, right, and the number of cattle they possessed, horses they possessed, that is the warring skills and the art of fighting in the wars, right. So 2 multiple choice questions are based on this. Let us see. Rig Veda is divided into how many mandalas? It is 5, 10 or 15. So the correct answer is 10 books. We have already done on the first page. So it is option number B according to your book. Please put a tick on option number B. Next question. The people of the Vedic age are generally referred to as the Vedas, the Rishis or the Aryans. So just now we have read they were known as Aryans. So this is option number C according to your book. Please mark it. Next, talking of the society, how was the society divided? What type of peoples were included in it? So let's see. People were divided into a number of tribes known as Janas. Please underline, what are Janas? They are just the number of tribes. So we have already done that people were divided into tribes. They settled the life of a tribal people. So this is known as Janas. Each tribe settled in a specific area which included many villages. So each tribe had many villages. Each tribe had a king known as Rajan. So who was Rajan? He was a tribal king or chief, you can say, who was selected on the basis of his bravery. How he was selected? On the basis of his warring skills and bravery. These kings were very different from the kings of the later time. So the king of the early Vedic period was very different from the king of the later period. How? This king, he did not live in big palaces, he did not have army, and the kings had the habit of collecting the taxes, but this king of early period, he did not collect any tax. So these are some of the differences in the kings of the two periods. So let us see. They did not have large standing army or huge palaces, big palaces they did not have, neither they had any big army. They controlled a very small area, and they were not the owner of the big areas, they controlled a small area, they were just the chief of each tribe. There were two assemblies, please underline, important question, the Sabha and the Samiti. It seems that the Sabha was an assembly of the elders and important people. Please underline what was Sabha and what was Samiti. And Samiti was a general assembly comprising members of every family of the Jana. So every family of a tribe of a Jana was included in the Samiti, and Sabha was a assembly, or you can say a body of the prominent or elderly people, right? All important issues were discussed in these assemblies. So what was there? All the important issues were discussed in these assemblies only, and it was not taken as we have in the history to the palaces of the kings. Okay. Two words were used for describing the community or the people as a whole. So what are the two words? Let's underline. One was the word Jana and the other was Vish. So Jana and Vish, these are the two words which were used to describe the community as a whole. The word Vaishya was derived from the word Vish. Now where does from word Vaishya come? Please underline, it comes from the word Vish. Many Vish or Jana are indicated by names, so we find references to the Bharat Jana or Vish, Yadu Jana or Vish, and the Puru Jana or Vish among others. So these are the various names of Janas or Vish you can see. So please underline them. We have Puru Jana, Yadu Jana and Bharat Jana. So three names are given of the Vish or Jana. And two important names were there for the community as a whole. They are Vish and Jana, you should know. The people who composed the hymns described themselves as Aryans. So the people who just wrote the hymns, they told themselves as, described themselves as Aryans, and the people who did not write any hymn, they were known as Dasas. So please underline, they called their opponents as Dasas or Dasyus. So this was a name given to their opponents who did not compose any hymn. Dasas were the people who did not perform sacrifices, so they were included in the important matters, like the important matters of the priest to conduct yajna, to conduct sacrifices. So they were not involved, Dasas were not involved in these matters. Their language was very different from that of the Aryans, so there was a difference in the language too. Later the term Dasa and Dasi came to mean slave. So please underline, and this word Dasa and the Dasi for the female, they came to be known as slave. We have slavery system in the history of India. We have the caste system, the Varna system that we have done. The Kshatriyas were there, the Brahmins were there, the Shudras were there, and the Vaishyas were there. So slaves, who were they? Please underline. Slaves were men and women who were often captured in wars. Slaves had to do whatever work their masters wanted them to do. So these were the people who were just born in the wars, and they were just told to do the work that was given by their masters. So they could not disobey the orders of their masters. So something about their occupation. What type of occupations were there? Two important occupations were there, please underline, that is agriculture and cattle rearing. So please underline, these were the two main occupations of the Vedic people. Besides these, other common occupations were, what were other occupations? Chariot making, this was important, pottery making, metal work, jewelry making, weaving, carpentry, tanning and fishing. Many people were priests who also performed the jobs of doctors and teachers. Why? because these priests, they were very learned people. They had a good knowledge of the medicinal plants and the herbs that were grown. So they were just doing the jobs of priests. These priests were doing the jobs of doctors and teachers. Underline why. So priests also performed the duties of doctors and teachers. They had enough knowledge about plants and medicinal herbs. They passed on the knowledge of the Vedas to the younger generation. Let us now take a look at the development in other parts of India during the Vedic age. So what was it now? Something about the pottery. What type of pots were there? So let us see. Pottery is made up of clay. We all know how is pottery done. It is made of clay. Okay? Please underline. And clay is first molded into a desired shape. How the process starts? It is first molded into a desired shape either with the help of the hands or with the help of the potter's wheel. Since there was an invention of the potter's wheel that has already been done, and we have read it in chapter 3, the age of farming. Pottery can be either shaped by hands or shaped on a wheel. The earliest pottery was handmade. With the passage of time, the potter's wheel was discovered. The clay is thrown onto the center of a potter's wheel, which is rotated. So the clay is thrown on in the center of the potter's wheel, and then it is rotated. फिर ऐसे चक्के को घुमाया जाता है. You might have seen the pots, how the potters make them on the wheel. The potter molds the clay to the desired shape on the wheel. This shaped pottery is then fired in a furnace. It's not enough. After the shape has been given, then these are just kept in the furnace, hot furnace at very high temperature, and they are heated or baked. So at a high temperature, this process strengthens the pottery, thus making it permanently hard, and then it further hardens the various utensils, the pots that have been made with the help of the clay. After baking, it becomes more stronger, more durable, right? So let's stop here. So I just want you to go through the chapter till here, and only two small portions are left, that is Inamgaon, which was an archaeological site, and the story of megaliths and what does it tell us. So this we will take up in the next video along with the book work. So just read the chapter nicely and try to learn and understand all the objective questions that we have marked today. So that's all for today. Stay safe, stay home.